Yeah, I'm PrismaticBlack. I've been running Mega Man Battle Network 1 for about 3 years. I've been through all the evolutionary phases of it. This is the most up-to-date route, and I'm excited to show it. Taraj put a lot of hard work into this route, and I don't think this one's been shown at a... This hasn't been shown at a Mega Man Battle Network marathon, but I know you've been doing runs of it. So yeah, I'm excited. And this is the only Battle Network game I run, so...
Yeah, Taraj42. Prism has been running this game for a long time, and I only started after TL Plexa was watching Prism and seeing how he was resetting. Thought maybe we'd be able to manipulate the RNG, and that was like 2 years ago. And then over the next year, we sort of implemented RNG across the entire run, and then over the subsequent year, further refined it to the point that it is at now, where essentially this entire game is under our control. There is almost no randomness left in it, although there is some slight variance in a few places because of the quirks of how the RNG works. But we've done a lot to break this game, and Prism is going to show it off. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm nervous. It's been a long time since I've done a run in a marathon, but I've practiced up, and I feel pretty confident and comfortable. I hope everybody enjoys it. It's definitely something you probably haven't seen anything like, or at least not much like. It's very unique, so hopefully you all enjoy it. Alright. And hey everybody, thanks for the good luck. I see a lot of friendly faces. Yeah, so start whenever, is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Alright, on go. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so the first thing I had to do is an edit. Fun. There's a lot of menuing in this game.
Yeah. So Battle Network 2 had RNG manipulation, but for 1 we start off immediately with it, and the very first thing Prism is going to do is a folder edit. And these folder edits are ironically the serious and hardest part of the run, because if you mess them up, there's no real way to recover from that, and they're what glue all of the RNG manipulation, the various setups together. So with that folder setup, he's going to save and reset the game, which restarts the random number generator, and then he's going to skip through these first cutscenes and do the couple tutorials. Battle Network 1, in the third fight, its chip draw is actually random, so it is a unique tutorial in that sense. So the first two are pretty much the same as Battle Network 2 and 3, but when we get to the third fight, they introduce the add feature, which works differently in this game, where you don't select chips to replace with add and get additional ones. Instead, you just send no chips and say send me more chips next time, and you'll get 10. You can do it again for 15. It's a little weird in that respect. And then once you send chips, it clears out, so you're back down to 5. It was a pretty poor feature. I don't think it sees much use unless you're looking for particular PAs. And part of the setup for that, Prism in the previous fight used the Buster a lot, got hit a couple times, and hopefully in the third fight we'll either get 3 cannons or 3 mini-bombs. What did we get?
3 mini-bombs.
3 mini-bombs, which is okay. Basically, if you can clear them in one custom gauge, that's a lot better than what you would expect on average without using RNG manipulation.
Yeah, you'll notice I have quite a loud playstyle. I use a GameCube controller. I'm considered very strange for doing so, but I think for this game, with the precision involved in movement, it helps me a lot making some of the turns, so it's a comfort thing. So we talked a bit about it in the previous game, putting your chips in a particular spot in your folder in order to folder stack, because we know which chip draws we're going to get. In Battle Network 1, there's an extra layer on top of that where positioning is super important, because since RNG doesn't begin counting until you choose continue, so it's paused on the title screen, we can actually manipulate the encounters that we get to completely, so we can get on fights on exactly the same RNG. So in this first instance here, Prism is going to folder stack to get area grab and wide sword and do 1 buster shot, which is affecting the RNG, so he can get a double kill S rank and get dash G. And that's important for program advance later. And then he changed from that into the next encounter, where we'll pick up Metcard G, so you can see where we're going with this. And for this, we want to get rank 6, so he's going to Buster him down to advance RNG, get hit twice, and then let the custom gauge fill past 5 seconds.
It's okay. I'll do this instead. Trying out a new setup. I forgot to turn a little bit there, but that's fine.
Yeah. Probably just talk to the access point, which will reset your step count.
Yeah, that's what I normally do, but in practice I was trying to try something a little bit different, but it's fine.
I see. Yeah, depending on how much you stop in different places, the prog's positioning can vary. So, in order to do RNG manipulation, you have to keep your step counter under complete control, which typically means running into corners. And whenever you have to interact with an NPC or something that has a variable position, it can be difficult to do so. So, it's a unique challenge to this.
Please remind me to trade howitzer. That seems to be the biggest thing for me to remember.
Yeah, that is something that I've missed a few times. Fortunately, as long as we only miss one chip, there's the burner backup, but I'll do so. Oh, and then, this is classic. The oven's on fire, so it's probably a virus. We'll have Mega Man check it out. Battle Network 1 started strong with its plot. And then this is a fixed encounter with a single Matar. We're going to take advantage of that using 2 Buster Shots to advance RNG. And a cannon to finish it off, which will get a shockwave, and then from here we chain to the end of the comp. So we want to mitigate random encounters since they take time. However, we do want to collect a few things, and it is increasingly difficult to get by without a random encounter the higher your step counter is, because each successive encounter check, which you get 1 every 64 steps. Oh yeah, you still do the runtime thing? I think walking is more consistent.
I use an audio cue, I just mistimed it. But I got it the second try. Yeah.
Okay, I forget that. Let me know if there's one coming up. I don't want to talk over and cause you to miss it.
None except for the fight, which I'll tell you when I get into that, because I do need to listen to my Buster. Just,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Look forward to the Fireman fight. So, obviously, oven's on fire. Boss of the first dungeon is going to be Fireman. And it really shows sort of the level of control that we have, because it combines all of the features. Folder stacking, AI manipulation. It's great.
Okay, so I'm about to start the fight. Hopefully I get it first try. It's got a lot of mashing. Marathon jitters, kind of. We'll see what happens. Too fast. Okay. There we go. Had to take it slow there, just to make sure I didn't mess it up again. Alright, cool. So that's Fireman. Pretty swag.
It's still probably one of my favorite fights. My version is significantly different than Prism's. He goes for an optimal fight where Fireman never leaves the front row. I have a bit more leniency, but in contrast, I have to fire a single Buster Shot as opposed to like 100.
Jeez, Dex, please. Stuck on Dex.
Yeah.
Talk
So
to everybody, you know how this is. Battle Network for you.
It's really easy to get stuck on different obstacles.
I had the cutscene skip, but I unpaused. But hey, you get to see
nice.
the pause. That's cool. Okay, so I'm gonna do one more edit here. I'll take this one slow since I'm messing these up like we said it's bad.
Yeah. Good luck.
Okay.
Yeah, these folder edits are very particular, and we've done them to make the fewest number of button presses possible. So it's optimized for speed, not ease of remembering.
Yeah, I've memorized about half the folders, but for some reason the one entering this area is really hard for me to remember. I've memorized the first one, which is like one of the most difficult ones, but whatever.
You do it often enough.
Yeah. And then I've memorized Stone Man's, and I've memorized the next one. So.
Stone Man's like my favorite.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's just like, these chips are garbage, get them out of my folder. Alright, let's put in Gut Shoot. And now, for this comp, we're going to manipulate a few encounters to get Quake 1A. So, Fireman was nice because the strongest chip in our folder is a sword, so we can get him to come to the front and attack him with that. Those who are familiar with this game may know that the boss of the second dungeon here is Numberman. It's actually Higsby's nabby. Higsby was originally evil. He worked for the World 3. But Numberman likes to stay in the back row, so we won't be able to use swords on him. Thus, we pick up the Quakes, because they help out in a few encounters. And the setup for the Numberman manipulation is actually really cool. We'll point it out, and shoutouts to Methodical for coming up with that.
Yeah, it's neat.
But the gimmick for this dungeon is there's all these locked doors, and some of them have sort of like a trivia question, like how many doors are in the school? Like 15. Others are random, and when I say random, in this case they're not actually tied to RNG. Basically, the game has a frame counter for how many frames that it's been running since power on. It takes that number, mod 100, and that is the number that you have to guess. It gives you a hint if you're higher or lower, whether the first digit's right or the second digit's right. And given that information, we have a pattern that will let us guess any of the numbers based on the hints in 6 guesses or less. If you miss it 6 times, the number changes, but since we have a pattern that guarantees that we will be able to get it, that's not so bad. So hopefully he gets like good numbers that don't take many guesses.
Wasn't that good, but it wasn't a reset on me, so that's good.
Yeah. Sometimes like you get something like 0 and that takes a lot of guesses.
Yeah.
So remember, number doors aren't random, they're just different.
Yeah, I mean, they're very weird. It's strange that, of all things, you know, that would be different, but it makes the runs a little bit more exciting, and it puts a little bit of mystery in the run, you know?
Yeah, running Battle Network 1 has given me a very odd appreciation for RNG, because without any RNG in your run, pretty much any time loss is your fault, and you can't ever really expect to have like a good luck in a run. It's just strictly, these are the buttons you need to press as quickly as you can without messing them up.
Ugh. Horrible. Okay, that's fine.
I said appreciation, chaotic, I'm not insane.
Yeah, this, that's what makes it kind of stressful, though, too, is, like, you really have to be on your guard playing this game. You can't forget things, you can't mess things up. I mean, it's stressful, but once it's all done and done well, it's really cool to show people. It just feels cool to be like, wow, I did all of that. Cutscene when she's facing away from me, what? Yeah, I like doing
Battle
that.
Network 1, I think, is a great marathon run, but it's not really fun to grind because there's no surprise for you. Sort of the novelty's gone.
Alright, so this is the manipulation for Numberman.
Pay attention to the background. That's not a bad idea, Fazita. Huh.
What? I think I was a frame early. Nice.
Let me see.
These passwords are so bad.
Wow, yeah. You get the 2 cross guns.
And I'm getting a reset password. Are you kidding me right now?
Follow the pattern.
Oh, okay. Hold on. That was probably late, too. Okay, no, that's good. That's good.
Okay. So we look at the background and wait for a particular visual point, and then hold start to buffer the cutscene. And that gives us a window of about 10 or 11 frames where we draw quakes.
Something looked like it was not in the right spot.
You could probably just run with it. No, this is good. You're fine.
That recover didn't look off to you?
I don't believe so. I think it's just one of the less common slots, you know? Because most of the time it'll be in a particular place, but sometimes it won't.
I don't remember seeing it there, but then again, that felt really late, and apparently it wasn't, so that's probably what it was.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not a
guessing
big
you're
deal.
a lot more familiar with the early frames.
Yeah, I am. But I'm trying to, like, not rush myself, because I know if I rush myself, I'm going to go way too fast, because the pressure.
Yeah.
So.
And now that we've beat Numberman, you sort of almost go immediately into the next fight. We've got to take a pit stop by Roll's house to pick up a key item we need so that Dex will actually challenge us to a fight. And then for Dex, we're going to use a very similar sort of setup and strategy. It is an audio cue though, so Prism, let me know when you need to focus.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Alright. So this is the recover 50 I need to get the Dex. And we're going to leave at mail there, because we're actually going to get it in email later. And that prevents us from getting a possible encounter, which is nice. Okay. So now...
Are you watching chat, or do you want me to just read it to you?
Oh, you can read it to me.
Miranda says, you got this, Prism. You've literally done it thousands of times.
That is true. Alright. Okay, so that's manipulation for Dex. I'm using a audio cue. I'm gonna pause buffer because his movement can be kind of tricky. Alright. The worst is when he fakes you out. He will do this fake out move sometimes. Like that. Oh, nice. That was a good fight. It was a really good fight.
You get the cannon draw?
Yeah, and it was fast.
Nice. So, like in Battle Network 2, we talked about 50% in parity. The same is true in Battle Network 1, where it's cycling between two different chip draws. And actually, Battle Network 1 does a much better job at shuffling than Battle Network 2 does. So coming up with windows that work for the few fights that we have to rely on a window for, so anything that requires an audio cue that we can't move buffer into, so like Gutsman, Numberman, etc., was really difficult. One of the reasons that we needed so many quakes.
Alright, so now we're getting another dash G. This is our second. We need 3.
Chaotic leaves in prison. Actually, this visit through Internet 1 is cool because if you paid attention to the first visit, this is almost exactly the same as what we did the first visit. Because the first two fights are going to be the same because we want to pick up additional guards and dash attacks. Only the second fight we'll use a shockwave instead, so it's a little different. And then we're not going to get a third encounter because we're going a different way.
Alright. Alright, doing wiggles on the ramps. That's actually something you might want to explain how that works.
Oh, wiggles.
Yeah, because that was the first one that was kind of noticeable, I guess.
Yeah. Anytime you change directions or speed, you stop for 1 frame. And we take advantage of this in the fact that whenever you pause, RNG advances by 1. So essentially you can move to particular locations past certain encounter checks, delay to let the RNG advance, and get an encounter check on a different RNG value. This lets us pretty precisely control what kind of encounter we get, where we get it, and then what chip draw we get as a result once we get into the fight.
Alright.
So all these things sort of play together. Oh, and the Stoneman fight's coming up, so...
Don't blink.
I like this folder edit. And so if you're familiar with Battle Network and you know about program advances, you might have an idea of what all these G-coded chips are going to be used for.
Boom, dead.
Stoneman, like, 600 health is a lot of damage to deal with, so it's pretty fortunate that we're able to get gut shoots so early. Like, Dash and Mechguard you can pick up pretty easy, as well as Gutsman. Which, the Gutsman fight's a fixed fight, so it's a very low time cost to get as well, in terms of the speedrun. And compared to a lot of the other program advances that are harder to get, and are only available later on, PAs in BN1 are a little underwhelming. Some of them look pretty cool, they're flashy, but as far as raw damage goes, Gut Shoot's one of the top ones.
Yeah, and a lot of the navis are weaker too, so it's something they kind of did in future installments was sort of ramp up the damage, so you felt like your chips were more powerful, because a lot of chips in this game look so weak compared to like BN3's chip library that have like 260 damage chips and things like that, so... I think the strongest chip in this game is Skullman. 3? Sounds right.
Probably. Yeah, with just like the straight raw attack value.
Yeah, I think it's like 210 damage, so... Right.
So we left Dad a message on the computer and borrowed @Dad. We'll be able to use that to tweet at him later if we have any questions.
This is really all you do the first visit, is just go to the PC and grab that @Dad and basically talk to the prog. After that, you just go home and it triggers the next series of events. I'm getting an email right now, and I have to read that before I turn in for the night. And actually, while I read Dad's email, which has the power-ups he said he couldn't give me earlier, but because they were too large to put in an email or something, I guess he figured it out. But I'm also going to read the email from Mail, and that has @mail in it, so that's good to have as well for accessing her comp. Okay, so now we go to school. We're only talking to Yai. That's it.
Check the kid. Watch the kid.
What?
The kid outside. You're probably already in the school. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Good point. Yeah.
There's a few funny moments in Battle Network 1, and really in the entire series, so even though we're doing speedruns, we do like to kind of show off the funnier stuff.
I think he's still out there, right?
I'm not sure.
I'll check.
But basically, someone stole all of the water, so they canceled school.
Nah, he's not.
RIP. That's okay. Just get the OSG popping out of the car, and I think we'll be good.
I already have this. So yeah, another thing, it took me a while to get used to this. I'm grabbing metro passes as I enter the areas, so that I can cut out a few steps. And that's something I didn't originally do when I first started, so for the longest time I just wasn't optimizing a lot of my movement. My movement has gotten a lot better over time.
Yeah, there's a lot of small things like that that you can do to save frames, but if you're interested in picking this game up and running it, you don't necessarily need to worry about stuff like that, because it's really easy to forget or not know which metro pass you're supposed to get until later on when you're like, okay, I need to go to this area, so it gives you more context. This is just additional memorization on top of all the setups and stuff that you have to do.
It comes pretty easily with practice.
And you're just going to borrow your dad's ID so you can go into the Waterworks? No big deal.
Snip snip is actually what it says there, implying that you cut it out of his lab coat. It's kind of destructive. Alright, my favorite chip in the run is coming up.
Real quick, Joker asked why the Japanese version, and it's a couple reasons. One is the text is a little bit faster, but mostly every time you do a save and reset, which is part of the RNG manipulation, is 1 second faster on the Japanese version, and that adds up. I really like this fight.
Yeah. a cool fight too, but I love the chip. Obviously, looking at the code, you can tell it's going to be useful.
All about that folder flow. I remember in the previous version of the run, Prism actually used Gut Shoot to just smash the fish.
It worked.
G.
But yeah, it's definitely not faster, but it was funny. I'm not ashamed of that. Alright, so now we run all the way back up to Dad's office. We're gonna hide out there until Scilab closes, because there's a little bit of debauchery going on with the World 3 trying to just supply everybody with grape soda. I don't really see anything wrong with it, but we have to stop it. Okay. I love the music in this particular stage. It's probably one of my favorite tracks in this game. And you get to hear a lot of it, because a lot of this area is actually encounter avoidance. You don't really grab many new chips in this particular section of the game, interestingly enough, so I won't actually be doing an edit in this scenario. My next edit isn't until the next one, so...
Yeah, it was really nice how that worked out in the route, where basically you edit for Stone Man, and then Waterworks was completely free, because, one, we skip a bunch of the encounters. In fact, I think there's only one optional encounter that we get, except Prism, I believe, uses a different setup that gets one in the first area. So you kind of just get to enjoy the music. Which, the downside to the save reset is, like in Battle Network 2, since you could sneak run, the music wasn't interrupted. Here, you're going to get really familiar with like the first 10 seconds of every track.
Did we answer why I'm playing on Japanese? I didn't.
Yes.
Everything. Okay.
Because of the faster text and the 1 second on save.
Should be fine. Just need to make it to the faucet. Yeah, we're good.
So, a couple people have asked about Operate Shooting Star, and it's basically a port of Battle Network 1 over to the DS. They added in an extra scenario, the ability to control Shooting Star Rock Band, which does come complete with the lock-on feature. And they did add a couple features like it'll gray out what chips you can't select and stuff like that.
I hate this setup. I don't know why, but sometimes I just can't do it. There we go. Okay, yeah, I've never actually played OSS. I've been meaning to, I just never got around to it, so I can't really answer anything about that, honestly. It's kind of weird that I haven't played it, of all people, but...
Well, it's also Japanese only, so...
You can emulate it. I mean, if anything, if I really wanted to play it, I could do that.
True. And since you're familiar with the stuff, you can get through it. And I don't know, that setup in the previous setup is a little weird. And I think it might be because you're, like, whenever you turn, you can sometimes cut from one direction to the other instead of rotating smoothly.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with me not hitting corners of the wall as well. I think it helps to hit the corners. I don't know why, just...
Yeah, it also, especially when you're dealing with ice, can sort of space out your encounter checks and get them at different times.
Yeah. Alright,
so coming up is a really neat trick. I'll let Prism kind of focus, because he needs to... There's no good visual reference, and he needs to step on a particular trigger and then save and reset. So just watch what he does.
Yeah, I got it.
Nice. So... basically, he's stepping on top of a cutscene trigger, and when you step on top of a cutscene trigger and you enter a menu twice, either the folder or you save and reset, you actually confuse the game and skip the first cutscene. And associated to that first cutscene was a polar bear virus fight, so we skipped the virus fight as well, and then it plays the next cutscene immediately. So we fixed the Waterworks, and now we're going to go celebrate because there's grape soda and all the fountains, and it's a good time. Oh, watch OSG pop out of the car when you go save him.
There we go. Okay. Alright, I got it. You said it right on time. I was about to skip it.
Cool. Even with the reduced delay, there's still a bit of one, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah, my capture card has a 2-second delay.
Oh, no, it's just like the
As
stream,
well.
I mean.
Oh, well, the stream also? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I actually delay my stream an extra 2 seconds. Well, not my whole stream, but the video and the audio. It's because capture card has a 2-second delay, which is annoying, but what you gonna do?
So now we have to go back to the Waterworks and revert the grape soda into normal water because people are complaining.
Right, so this is actually using, why did I do that? That's fine. I wasn't thinking. This is using, the second half of the first visit's setups, because when I touch the faucets, I reset my step counter. And so that kind of gets it to where when I reset the game, after my next save, I wasn't holding forward, I'll save right here just to be safe. It makes it to where I can actually just link as many setups as I want, assuming I use like faucets to reset them. So as long as I touch the same faucet in a second visit, I can do the same setups off of it because of my position. It resets your position also. So
Yeah, there's a few things that will either reset your step counter, your position, or both, and by taking advantage of that, as well as the save and reset, you can do a lot of different things, so that's really cool. And I want to make a quick note about the BN6 run that's after this, because a few people are talking about it.
right.
We're essentially ending the marathon with Battle Network 1. This is the last sort of official speed run. But then, as a bonus, a member of the TeamBN community, Spherewa, has done Battle Network 6 randomizer runs in the past. So this is sort of like a little bonus stream that we're doing at the end of it, where he's going to play through the Battle Network 6 game, but randomized, and we'll put a poll in chat later for you to pick the seed that randomizes the game. And he's also going to do it without using any of the crosses. So if you saw the BN6 speedrun, we used Heat Cross for most of the fight. So even though this is Gregar and not Falzar, like they're both Gregar, it's going to be significantly different regardless. I don't know if he's planning on picking up any additional crosses, but we'll
Why am
worry
I
more
getting
about
an encounter?
Oh, you didn't. When you get to the ramp going down,
Right.
cut left and wiggle.
I guess, yeah, I'm delaying it a little bit. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So-
trying like really hard to not move too fast, but I think that's ending up why I'm making so many mistakes on some of these setups.
Yeah. BN1 is really tough and takes a ton of focus because a lot of times you'll have to do a wiggle or a transition in between two encounter checks, and you only have 64 steps to do so, and since we're running, that's 32 frames, basically half a second to make all of these adjustments that you need to do. And there's not always a good visual cue for when to do that, so... But yeah, water melts ice, and then we can go forward.
I
And
will
actually, the
save
next
in
turn-
front of this puzzle
Oh,
for you.
I wasn't gonna ask you to, but basically you can skip half of this puzzle by sliding diagonally, and so Prism is gonna stand on essentially a 4-pixel window, move upwards, and go in between two of the holes, and skip the first faucet entirely and go straight to the second faucet. And this area is interesting because every area is capable of having a different encounter curve. Which means based on how many steps you've taken, you get a different % chance of getting into a random encounter. And actually, because they expect you to fall off and have to do so much additional walking, the encounter curve here is extremely low. So we're able to get out of here without a random encounter without having to save and reset, just based off of the large buffer they give you. Let's not start any, like, which BN is best debates, because they're all good for different reasons.
Yeah, it's preference. A lot of it has to do with a lot of things.
Yeah, once I met Method and realized that there were people that thought BN4 was the best, I
I
realized
know,
that there
right?
was no hope for the community.
I know, right?
I mean, like, there's good and bad for all the games.
Yeah. Oh, Iceman, here we go.
Oh, right. There's the boss.
Sorry. I wasn't thinking. So he's really fast. So you have to really launch off on the attack as soon as possible. He can move out of the way. It does happen. Yep.
Iceman was a pretty neat boss before we just one-shot him, because he would move to the front and put ice cubes down, and if you like face tank the ice cube, you could just mash on the buster, so you'd have like 3 or 4 attack at this point, and you'd have iframes through his first ice bomb, and you'd do a ton of damage, and hit him with a Lex sword. And, but now
that was kind of cool.
Oh, and this is the future of email. Basically, Mail asks Lan if he wants to go to Dentown to pick up a birthday gift for Guy. So he writes the response, gives it to Mega Man, and Mega Man is now going to hand deliver it to Roll, and then they're going to go meet up in Dentown. Oh, you pause buffer that corner? I don't
normally.
works.
I don't know why I did. I'm just kind of on autopilot right now. Like, I've never pause buffered that before. I don't know what I was thinking.
So fun. I guess you thought you were in the power plant for a second.
Maybe I'm just having flashbacks of power plant experiences that I've been dealing with recently. Yeah, and I'm just trying to be extra careful. No, power plant hasn't been too bad.
That's good.
I'm gonna save before this edit, though.
Oh yeah. So there's another folder writing up coming. You had to enter the metro and then exit in order to trigger the cutscene. If you forget to do that, you have to backtrack. It's kind
so
of
dumb. I've messed up a lot
Nexus.
of runs.
Yeah.
I should probably say.
Prism's gonna go into the base to pick up Quake 3, and then he's gonna do a folder. So stop talking for a second.
Is that right? Yeah, that is right. Okay. I'm being extra careful here. Okay. And then I have to read this email from Mail. I don't have to now, but it helps to do it now. Okay, so another sound cue. And that should set me up perfectly to get enough damage for Skullman. So you just basically stand here and mash A. It's kind of involved. Shoutouts to Quake 3. Probably my second favorite chip in the run. I think I like Tri-Spear G better because it's multi-hit and they don't flinch enemies, and that's kind of nice. So
Tri-Spear is a lot more satisfying. Look, Quake 3 is just has a lot more utility since it's AoE.
yeah.
But you can see that thanks to Tri-Spear G and the fact that it does come in 3 volleys, which means it doesn't cause iframes, you can combine it with Gut Shoot and do a significant amount of damage, which will allow us to take out some bosses quicker. And the gimmick for this scenario is essentially all of the traffic lights have been corrupted, and so the autopilot systems are having cars crash into each other, so the World 3 is selling an antivirus for the virus that they created, and they're charging 1 million zen each. But Lan's just going to go take care of it himself.
Yeah, this area is really tough for me to get used to at first because there's a particular movement coming up that yeah, I'm gonna reset. I was like, I don't feel good about that.
This scenario does also have like one of the funniest sections or funniest bits of dialogue in the game, like coming up.
Which part? Sorry, Charlie? Or I don't remember.
Oh my gosh.
No, where the one person's like selling the stuff and there's people around him, so you just walk up to the people and just be like, "Don't buy this, it's clearly a trap," and they're just like, "Oh yeah," and they turn around and leave.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's this 10-year-old that's going to solve it. I'm not going to spend $1 million on it. But it's even better the third person. You talk to them and they're like, oh yeah, I don't even have a driver's license.
Sorry about that.
It's all
So
good.
like that bubble that the heat bubbler guy, I forget what he's actually called. But
Puffer.
That's right. Okay. I was gonna say fishy, but that's something else. His bubble actually, if you damage it, does affect your RNG value. So I have to be sure not to make it explode, which happened. So I can't continue on with that. Otherwise, things will not work out as planned. So. This is like, to me, one of the tougher areas in traffic.
Yeah, it definitely can be, because there's times where you have to sort of buffer your Quake.
Yeah, the other areas aren't this bad to me. Like, this one is probably the one I'm most inconsistent with, oddly enough, being first. So.
And the chain at the start's really long, too, because chaining is good because you can cut out additional save and resets, which each one takes time, but it also makes it a lot more difficult, and if you mess up any part of the chain, even after you've done, like, the first fight or two, then you're back at the start. You lose a lot of time.
Alright.
Oh. I guess it's Japanese text, so you can't really see, but the third person he talked to when Miss Mad was there was the person that can't even drive a car. This is where we're actually going to pick up the second escape chip. There's 5 that you can pick up, and we used to get all 5 in non-manip runs. But now, with the control that we have, we've gotten by so far this entire game with only 1 escape chip. And now we're going to pick up a second, because that makes it a little easier and gives us more setup options. Oh, and so this fight with the Quakes, since Met 2s are invulnerable, Prism timed the Quake to get a multi-kill to clear the fight out quickly, but as well as we needed to get S rank to get the red wave chip, which will actually be used later. Some of the chips we pick up are simply for the library, because there's a requirement later on that to get 2 key items we need to advance, you have to get like 60 chips, as well as have Mega Man be level 30, and we're constantly working towards that. For example, the wave chip that we picked up will not be used.
Alright, so I have to do another edit here. I'm gonna be extra careful, because later game edits in this kind of a setting are things that I really don't want to mess up, because really the best way to correct them is to redo all the edits up to that point. Which, as chips start gathering in my folder, it becomes a lot more difficult to do, because I have to worry about where they are positioned in the pack, and I have to memorize like which chips I'm putting where, and it just, yeah, it becomes a problem. Cross gun. Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, I think we're good. I'm playing. I don't want the run to die, obviously, so I'm gonna make sure that I do those correctly. This has a really long chain to it after this fight. It's actually kind of crazy how far you go without getting an encounter after this fight. It's kind of neat. So as you'll see, I'm going quite the distance here.
Yeah, I like how that setup worked. And that is my least favorite folder edit, so I'm glad that's out of your way.
Yeah, it's not good. It's confusing. Some of them are very confusing. Like, a lot of them are really similar to others, so you start feeling like you're doing the wrong one. It's not kind of nerve-wracking, honestly. But it's out of the way. That's probably... Oh, no. We'll be okay. I think we're fine. What am I doing? Okay, good. Bad movement there, but we're fine. This next area has a chain encounter that really annoyed me when I first started doing this route. It's the very last fight, actually. You probably know what I'm talking about for the bubble wrap chip.
Yeah. That's actually inconsistent. It needs to be rerouted. I'm sorry I didn't realize that when I was originally
it's fine.
creating it.
I've got a way now to kind of time it, which mainly the problem was my timing was bad, so that's kind of been corrected on my end at least, so. About to get another chip that I really like. As simple as it is, I really like this chip. That's Dyna Wave.
Oh yeah, it's so good, especially when you have a folder full of. But very quickly, I want to say that the reason he's saving so much, for anyone that's just joined, is we're using extensive RNG manipulation. So if you're familiar with the Battle Network series, you know that there's random encounters with random chip draws and random rewards from the battles. Well, none of that is random. We have complete control over everything, and all of the actions that we're taking, more or less, are completely intended such that we manipulate the RNG. So.
Yep. Which makes it kind of scary, but it also, I mean, it's kind of neat. I don't know.
Yeah,
It does make you look like a wizard.
basically. So if we make any mistakes, just know that it was RNG minute and that we're perfectly flawless.
100% of things in this game are supposed to happen.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing for me is, like, I feel so bad when I make a mistake in these runs, because it's like, man, that was all me. I can't really say anything else other than that. Okay, this fight, let me time this real quick. Okay, we're good.
Cool.
Alrighty.
So it's possible, depending on when the dash happens, that you get Zenny instead of a battle chip, which would mean we have to pick up a battle chip. Fortunately, it is not needed.
It's seems to me like when the back monocle shoots his fire or his aqua tower, that's when you know you're gonna get Zenny. If the first one shoots and the second one doesn't, you should be good. From what I've noticed, it's weird. Alright, so this is the last area.
It's not random, it's just different. Yeah, so we've basically been chasing this bus around because it has mail in it, our friend. And Miss Mad is going to make the gas go backwards, which causes the engine to explode. I don't know, Japanese engineering. So we basically need to trap the bus by stopping or turning all the lights to red. And fortunately, whenever you interact with one of these, it triggers a cutscene which resets your step counter. So, actually, anytime you talk to the thing that Mega Man interacts with, that resets your step counter. So we can take advantage of that and get through here without any randoms.
Yep.
We wonder what the task looks like. The task for Battle Network 1 is amazing because it can get by with even more stuff than we're capable of doing, and he can also abuse the chip trader to a degree that we cannot.
Yeah,
so,
no saving and resetting and crazy chip trader abuse.
Yeah, what we do in like an hour and 25 minutes, he does in like 55 minutes.
Yeah.
So, the tasks for Battle Network 1 and 2, and really the entire series, except 4 doesn't have a task yet, are really good. So if you're a fan of a particular Battle Network, search on YouTube like Battle Network 1 full assisted speedrun, and you'll find it.
I should have had that. I think I have this. It's a sound cue. I'm pretty sure I got it.
Oh, sorry.
No, I got it. We're good. That's a music cue. Gotta just listen to the beat, flow with the beat, etc. That's Colorman, and you can actually move around and pause after you delete him because the two little statues he has there count as enemies, I guess. I don't know.
Use Gutsman, right? I believe that's a thing that you've done in the past.
Yeah.
I originally, in a previous route, had a setup where you can actually get deleted after you defeat Colorman.
Yeah, you can.
And it doesn't give you game over. But first, 1, we got dentures from a tree, and 2, if you go deliver the birthday present to Yai, she gives you 10,000 zenny. This is something that I didn't know casually and only found out when we were routing the speed run. And this is your only opportunity to do it, because once you start the next scenario at the power plant, you can no longer do so.
Yeah, it's really bad if you forget that, because 10,000 zennies goes really far in this game. You don't get much zenny, and also things aren't as expensive as they are in the other games for the most part. There are some things that are. I had to scratch my nose there, and I walked all over the place. I like this scenario is not like a big back and forth section. It's pretty much you jump right into the power plant and you're good to go. I like that. No errands to run. Ugh, I hate when I do that. Okay, so I had to talk to everybody again. Big surprise.
I like the scientist that's hitting on your mother.
Yeah. Wowzers. I don't know what he actually says.
I would not be surprised if it's Wowzers.
Like Zoink Scoob. Ugh. Wowzers is such a...
You talk to them in a
60s.
different order.
Yeah, I don't know why I do that. It's so slow. I like talking to Dad last so I can just skip both cutscenes by holding start. I don't know. It's not
It is-
faster.
Yeah, it's satisfying, but
Yeah.
So Lan just jumped down the garbage chute to get to a lower level because the elevator's not working because the power's out because they're deep underground and World 3 sabotaged it, and now they're worried that the air filtration system isn't going to get, or the air vent system isn't going to get air down to where they are they're going to suffocate. So Lan's going to go turn the power back on, and the power plant is actually a terrible scenario. And good luck to Prism for all of the manipulations that we'll be doing in here.
Yeah, this section is scary. I mean, this is probably the biggest stressful point in this run.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the third area.
Easily.
I believe we counted it out, and there's like 38 like save resets in this part for manipulation.
I've never actually counted. I need to do that.
I think,
but there's a
I'm
lot.
pretty sure I counted it out when you were doing stuff a while ago.
Oh, cool.
But this is an extensive dungeon.
Yeah. If you've ever played this
Safe
game
ways.
just casually, you'll know that this level is bad. It's invisible platforms, battery switches that give you virtually no hints.
Non-adjacent.
Yeah,
Well,
I
yeah,
knew
so-
what that was when I was a little kid. I didn't know what adjacent was. I was like, what is adjacent? What is adjacent? I really had no clue what I was doing. Yeah,
I was okay with it because I just save reset it before I did each puzzle, and then just trial and errored my way into it.
Yeah, a lot of people save scum it.
yeah, that's what I ended
odds
up doing.
Odds are good if you go buy a used Battle Network 1 card, the save file will be in the power plant.
That wouldn't surprise me if like the majority of them were like that.
In OSS, which is the DS remake of this, essentially, it's basically the same game with a few improvements and one extra scenario. Where you get a Star Force crossover, which is sweet.
Yeah, specifically with this comp, there's a map on the bottom screen, or top screen, bottom screen,
Bottom screen.
and it has dots for where the actual path is. That still doesn't help you because they overlap.
You
but-
kids have it so good these days. Back in my day. I do remember putting the game down for quite a long time during the section before finally conquering it. I felt really, really proud of myself. Okay.
Also, there's the battery in the top right. When that basically, because there's no power to anything, the PET is running off its internal battery, and they're like, oh, when the PET runs out of batteries, you'll be cut off from Mega Man, and then Mega Man will be eaten alive by the viruses inside. So it makes it sound like super grim, but if you actually run out of power, you just do like a button mashing mini game, and then you're all right.
Yeah.
Like the scientist standing next to you when you jacked in here gives you like a hand crank thing, and you button mash and then recharge the battery, so it actually doesn't matter.
You can see Prism pause buffering these turns. I still am sort of amazed that we're able to get away with RNG manipulation in this area, because it's just by nature of how that the movement in this game works, that since we need to get the same number of steps between point A and point B, we can pause buffer the turns and run into the battery boxes and interact with them, and it works out that we're able to get from one side to the other in the same number of total steps, so that when we reset, we can resume with RNG manipulation. Because these were the last areas that were manipulated just because we thought the setups would be impossible and far too time-consuming, which they do take a lot more time than some of the other areas, especially in Comp 3, which we're going to get to soon.
Yeah.
We spend, I think, we spend more time in that one area than we do in, like, any other area in the game. It's like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, it certainly takes a while, and it can be very stressful. Because you just have to be on your toes with everything. As far as like where to go and where to turn. If you make one bad movement and you haven't saved, or if you save after making a bad movement, which is like the worst, and you don't realize it. Ugh, yeah. So we're getting Rimobit here. And now we're gonna start basically the big, long 3-stage puzzle. which has a lot of pause buffers and turns that are pretty crazy.
The viruses in this comp can be pretty dangerous as well, particularly the deeper you get in, because you see the evil progs, turned progs, and they will slowly move towards you, sending out ring zaps. They will area grab you, and V2 and V3 start to move a lot faster. And then you've also got like high cannons and M cannons and Remo bits area locking you, and Billy's sending out thunder to stun you. And this is
have you talked about the difference between thunder in this game and why it's just terrifying?
Oh, well, so thunder in this game, you might think, oh, it's electric, it'll stun you. Instead, it gives you a debuff, status effect, where every time you take a step, Mega Man flinches and takes 10 damage. You do get a little iframes out of it, but every time you move, you take damage.
Yeah, and it lasts a long time. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So it's pretty bad. And Magic Man can summon Billies, so he's pure evil.
At least he can't summon corrupted Mr. Progs.
Yeah, I'll save here.
He can summon Swordies, though, which area grab you. It's almost as bad. Shocking. Prof is defending the power
I
comps.
didn't need to do that.
The only saving grace is that the music here is pretty good.
Yeah, music is really good. Music in Battle Network games is great. Keyzeron was right when he said this. He said it makes the games much more enjoyable to run through. And I agree. Any game with bad music is really difficult to keep your attention. Alright, this is a very cool fight. Gonna double hit him. Nice. I like that fight. Make sure I do this correctly. Yeah.
Oh, and as Cloud Monkey said, some of the progs do say funny things.
Yeah, they do.
Half of them are turned progs, and half of them give you a hint. Unfortunately, the only hint they give you is, again, that the batteries in the correct slots will never be adjacent to each other, which doesn't narrow it down by that much. And others just say memes, so...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, isn't there one prog that's just like, kill me, and then attacks you?
Yeah, that does happen, so some of them are kind of dark.
Fun. Alright, so I'm taking some saves here just to be safe. Not necessarily to reset on them, but just to make sure I don't have to go all the way back for making a bad movement. Because that can happen.
Yeah. There's one that does some quote, I think, from Pulp Fiction or something. I forget something about...
and I was strike down on
strike
B with
P.
the mighty vengeance.
Here you go.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I'm almost certain nobody playing this game originally got that.
No.
I have no idea what that reference, who that reference was for.
I'm like, oh, that's weird Bible? Okay. That's a weird reference. And then I understood exactly what it was in there for.
That last double corrupted prog Remo bit, I can only imagine how many times people died in that. That is just a terrible encounter.
The last fight that we manipulate in this section
Dungeon.
is probably gonna. It's like something that if you didn't have manipulation,
nightmare.
it would be a nightmare. Yeah, it would be an absolute like.
If you got that fight in a non-manipulated round, like if you're doing Battle Network one single segment, you would probably just die.
Yeah, you just die. You just take the death and reset and be like, all right, GG.
We're like, yeah, good beats.
It'd be like that time that I sabotaged Marco and told him to go to the blackboard and he found dynamite and got one shot.
Oh gosh. Yeah, those are the worst, I think, in my opinion. The dynamites. I mean, as far as what you could realistically run into. I don't know. It's close. Okay, so that's the last, or that's the edit in this area. Ah, turned too soon.
I guess we don't have FC cannon.
Nah.
Or is it with one N?
No, I think Prism's got too much emote competition to justify Accuracy cannon, FC cannon.
It's not really relevant to me. Like my
Fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the. Whenever you get hit with electrical attacks, it resets every time you move, so you just take damage, and it's like, well, I guess I'm just gonna die this fight.
So this fight, like, come on.
It's pretty terrifying, and then we just crush it with the power of C code.
Yeah. And that gives us all of the ring zaps, which is really cool. Because those chips are kind of hard to get.
Yeah, that's a good point, Prof. It does give you a lot of freedom in what areas you can access.
Alright, so that's basically it. The next thing I have to do is manipulate 2 fights. One is just sort of a mock fight, but that's pretty easy. You just run straight here. And the next one is going to be, I use the timing cue. Is there a visual cue for it as well?
Yeah, there's both an audio and visual cue, so it's kind of nice. Hey, Vash. This is fine.
So every time you deal 50 damage to him or more, he heals. Almost messed up there because I forgot I had a dash. I was like delaying my attack. So that's annoying, but he only does it 3 times.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm gonna use a music cue here.
You are possible. Or sorry.
I didn't get it.
Sorry.
Alright, there we go. Okay.
It is possible to drop or to deal 600 damage to Elecman before he actually regenerates, but you still can't kill him. He just kind of hangs out and then heals himself back to full.
Yeah, I think I got a highlight of that somewhere, but it's deep buried. His HP bar disappears, and then he zaps himself and it goes back to 600, and you're like, well, I tried.
So doing that setup and actually firing the Buster Shot allows me to manipulate Gut Shoot in the next fight, because these fights are right after each other, so you can't change your folder around in between them. So that's nice. It's kind of convenient.
Yeah, pretty fortunate that that worked out, because it was literally the very last possible option that I looked at.
Alright, so now we're going to trade this old man a chip before going and finding out where Chad is.
Oh, you mean,
Or not trade this old man his dentures for a chip.
Yeah.
Yeah. That were in a tree. I don't really want to
Tree
know
dentures.
how they got
It's
there.
a long story.
Yeah, it's probably a very long story.
The lesson is take care of your kids. Or teeth kids.
Take care of your kids' teeth.
That too. I mean, it's important. Oh, why are we fighting Protoman? Basically, Chad set up a trap to try and catch Elecman and get the location of the World 3 server off of him. And we messed it up because we beat Elecman before Protoman got in, and so Chad was a little salty and he fought us, and then we just beat him.
Wrong scientist.
And then I think we became friends with Protoman.
Sometimes I do that, where I try to go to the scientist that's walking up and down that you have to talk to
Yeah.
later. I don't know why.
The
but-
former operative.
Yeah. And the Japanese version makes it a lot harder for me to determine whether or not I'm doing the right thing if I'm not paying attention. 'Cause I can't just use L button strats and find out where I'm at in the story.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna watch him disappear behind a text box. And he's gone.
My God.
Yeah, he just teleported. Alright.
He's going around accusing people of working for the World 3. He figures odds are good that he's going to get someone and then they'll just cooperate.
Alright, so here I'm going to talk to the former World 3 operative, who now owns a chip store. You may know him as Higsby. It's one of my favorite characters.
Higsby. Yeah, it's like he took over the school and then everyone's okay with him operating a chip shop right down the street. Which, you know, no complaints here, but...
He does have quite a nice selection.
Yeah.
And so we buy 3 chips from him, and we get the Higgs memo, which allows us to access parts of the World 3 area. And we go back into Internet Area 1 via my PC.
Yeah. The basic goal of this bit is you have to get 4 different memos in order to get all the way through the internet.
And so I'm actually going to spend a lot of cash here talking to this net dealer. And he's going to provide me with some useful assets in progressing the story. So.
Yeah, we're gonna go through Internet 1 using a different setup, and we're gonna get two fights that we escaped from. And then when we get to Internet 2, we actually do a pretty cool setup where we do a really long chain and get 3 different encounters. One of which is for Howitzer, which is normally a chip that's really hard to come by because you have to get an S rank off of a hardhead. And they wait until just about after 5 seconds in order to attack, so it's really hard to get the time bonus. You mainly need a multi-kill for it.
Okay, you guys saw it, me getting a little bit too crazy here and hitting A, and then while hitting start, my thumb hitting B and canceling the chip selection. Good stuff.
Oh, that's all it was. I was worried that you did a reset before you finished saving.
Oh, no. I haven't done that in a while, fortunately.
You get a little antsy on the fast resetting, and then you're like, well, no,
Yeah.
previous. Fortunately, you're saving all the time this time. Alright,
Yeah,
good luck
this
with
next
chain.
part is actually kind of scary because it requires... It's quite a long chain, like you said. If I mess it up, I have to go all the way back to the beginning of this area, so... Yeah.
You get to show off a lot of red wave, which is cool. I like that shit.
I don't think me moving there... Yeah, it did. Dang! I moved forward for some reason. Okay, that's fine, because that's not that bad of a place to mess up. I don't know why I was thinking of moving forward. I guess I was just thinking back to Power Plant, where normally when you throw red wave, it helps move forward.
Oh, yeah. Because if you get rank 10, I know it still works, but since you lost the movement and the time bonus...
Yeah, it's fine.
Right, man,
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's just showing you sort of how fragile everything is and how much, like, how precise you have to be while you're playing in order to maintain the RNG minute.
Yeah, so here I can't move. And I'll get it this time. Alright, so this chain right here I'm going to have to focus on because it's kind of scary. I have to hold B here and cycle the text at a consistent speed. Okay. So now we're doing the fight. Good. As soon as I save, I'll let you know. Oops. Okay. Alright, cool. Ugh. I hate that part.
Yeah, that part can be a little stressful, so...
You can't make any movement errors there, or else that's it. Bad stuff.
Remember ahead. One PB with that mistake in it, and then after the split, it's like, oh, I just saved a minute and a half.
Yeah. It's that big of a deal.
We're actually coming up to the end of the area, and there's a pretty cool fight where we again take advantage of the C code. And we do a neat trick. We use movement to sort of buffer the timing for a quake, because we're dealing with 2 cold heads, which are kind of like hard heads. You saw them in Battle Network 3, but in this version, they're just basically a higher health, higher damage version of a hard head.
And they throw regular cannonballs, not ice balls. Alright.
Get them.
Boom. And we also get 3,000 zinnies, which is really nice.
We need that.
We do
Works
need
out
it.
perfectly. Yeah. Prof is firing shots at your GameCube controller.
Please. Okay, cool. This setup is really annoying to me. Ugh. Yeah, it's so annoying to me. I don't know. It's the movements are so specific on this one.
Well, at least we're done with most of the fold rabbits now.
See, it. This one is so trolly.
Yeah, it's very precise in where you have to turn.
Okay, there we go.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
I just gotta get a feel for it again. That's all. Okay. That's basically all the stuff I'm worried about out of the way.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Like that fight, really. And we're picking up a few more chips. We're almost at the 60 that we need. We still have a few more to pick up and trade for. Nice one, Glenn. What are we trying to do? We're trying to beat the game quickly. Known for having good stories. The Battle Network series is known for good gameplay, not necessarily plot.
I mean, I think it's okay, but
It's there to motivate you and basically just move the gameplay along.
Okay.
I like the setup chaining to the shop because you can just hold B to advance the text, similar to what we did with the door
Yeah.
to the Undernet.
Alright, trading
And then you can
howitzer.
go and- yeah, trading howitzer. And I like that we buy the armor because we need to increase Mega Man's level, and simply owning armor increases your level. And we end up with 500 Zenny left over, so again, since there's nothing random, like everything works out just exactly. It's kind of cool. I wish we could have ended with 0 Zenny, but that would be slower, so we get 500 left over. And one other reason we picked up howitzer is because you can trade it for Buster Punch, so it's basically a 2-for-1 because the trade takes almost no time and there's no fight associated with it.
Yep.
Which was something that Doyson did originally, and I didn't even realize that. I found it while I was like routing. So,
I looked at the trades, but I was just like, why would I ever get howitzer in a run? Like, at what point would that be feasible? And it is,
Yeah.
so.
yeah.
And yeah, even if you remove a chip from your folder and your possession, it still remains in your library, so it does count still, so that's nice. Alright, so now we get our chip judgment.
We bought armor with the 15,000 in.
Yep. And Miss Yuri is going to give us a grade.
Glenn's like, wait, what? I thought it was Battle Network 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Isn't that the order? But yeah, we go to summer school and we pick up one last chip. And then Miss Mari, who's actually a twin of your teacher. Wait, what's her name?
Okay, Miss Yuri is who
Oh,
gives
yeah,
you
yeah.
that, and Miss Mari is your teacher. So Miss
So
Mari
and they're
is-
twins.
Yeah. So that's Miss Yuri.
There's a quiz question involving both of them, but I'll let you guys discover that on your own. So Prism stage resets to guarantee he doesn't get an encounter, and the Blue Mystery Data contains a power-up, so he uses the power-up simply to increase his level. You can kind of put him wherever you want. Attack and charge are usually good options. Attack and rapid is the fastest option. Or actually, charge and rapid is equally fast. So it's kind of personal preference there.
Alright.
He's very well. You still got plenty of time to set up for your run. Everyone say hi to Sphero in chat. He'll be our bonus stream.
Estonian.
Every
Wow.
team needs an Estonian.
I always say that to him. He's the only Estonian I know personally, so that's kind of cool.
Same.
And he is a really cool guy. I like Squirrel a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, with speedrunning communities and just gaming communities and Twitch in general, how sort of worldwide it is, and you meet people from all over, and it's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay.
Castle remembers the quiz.
Revisiting with
So-
our newly obtained memos, so that'll get us to the next boss.
Yep. Our dad's PC is conveniently close to the Undernet. Also, it was weird how he disappeared right before the power plant problem happened, but it's probably just a coincidence. At this point, we've collected all the chips that we need for the library, so from this point forward, we just want to avoid and escape from encounters as quickly as possible. Did you get stuck on it?
No, it's just the worst luck encounter. Oh no, that time I did, but I made it through.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Because, like, you took extra steps, because normally we, like,
that's
cut
what it
corners.
was. I cut corners the
Oh,
next
that's
time.
so weird.
Yeah. Oh, wrong way. Okay, there we go.
Alright then.
Alright, so yeah, I'm escaping from everything here. Since I already have the 60 chips I need, there's no point in me farming anymore, so I'm hopefully going to end the game with 60 chips. There's a possibility I could end the game with more, depending on how my last area goes before the final boss. Because I don't manipulate there. I just try to wing it. Which works for some of us, I guess. Alright, so yeah, 3 encounters in this area, all escapes, 2 encounters in the next area, and then 2 plus a boss fight in the area after that, so it's pretty fast. Right. Basically just running through the internet. Isn't that what the song is called?
Huh? What?
Running through the net or something? Or is that... I don't know. Maybe
Oh, yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of different names for the internet themes. I think that might be right for this one. There's also, like, an expanding network. That's out the 3 or 6.
Oh, wait. That was the wrong place to wiggle. Wiggle after. Right here.
You gotta wiggle.
Wiggle
Gotta
with
get them
it.
wiggles.
Yeah, it's really important that you know when to make adjustments to your movement. It's kind of crazy how much it affects everything. That's why I like the GameCube controller for this. I can make 8-way directions pretty easily, and I think that's just beneficial in this kind of a game, but it's preference.
Those are E's. This is the internet circa 1999. We're running Internet Explorer.
Alright, here we go. This is the most health you'll see an enemy have. Or a Navi have, rather.
Oh yeah, the bomb man fight's really cool. The important thing to keep in mind is that if you hit his bombs with the fire chip, they detonate on his side of the field, damaging him. So the heater actually double hits, one from the initial blast and one from the bombs exploding on him.
So that puts him at 490, and Guts Shoot does 500, so it's pretty much perfect for dealing with him. And bye-bye, green mystery data. Now we talk to Dad. This is the novel that Dad has to share with us.
You get off the computer and you turn around, Dad, how long have you been watching me?
The whole time, son.
And then he's like, wait, where did you get this? And he's like, I was on your computer, didn't you see me? You can check the browser history. I mean, don't check the browser history. I went to deep, dark places in the Undernet.
So now we're finishing up the game. Really what I have to do here is just go home and go to bed. Pretty straightforward. I will be returning
Boundless.
again for another completely pointless errand, but in the meantime we'll get some rest and prepare to take on Wily and his grape soda empire. Panic music starts, so obviously stuff is not good.
Mom, Dr. Wily's on TV.
Dr. Wily. Alright, so... Oh, swag. Anybody that's seen me run the game knows why I said that.
I'm gonna guess you clipped through OSG? I don't know.
Yeah, he did not get me this time.
OSG is the true final boss?
Yeah, I mean, that kid is pretty much the NPC they put in every convenient exit. They put him right in front of it. See? But his walk cycle affects it a little bit too, but...
Yeah.
Okay, so we just got a World 3 pass from Higsby's counter because he is a former World 3 operative. So we tried to sort of extrapolate information about where the secret base is and how to get there, and we found through a conductor that he heard noises at the schoolyard, and apparently there is a metro line that leads to Wily's fortress underneath the fountain at Land's school. And
which explains how Higsby got there.
And the expiration date on the pass is off, which is so dumb. So his dad just resets it. So we went all the way over to Scilab just so his dad could...
What? It's a security measure. They can't let people... Like, they update their code so they don't let people in, except that apparently you can just hit the reset button and it's like, yeah, it's fine.
I just picture like there's a winding mechanism that he turned back, and that was that.
See, I imagine there's just a button on the back that's like reset. It's like one of those like tiny things you need like a pin. To push.
yeah.
It's like pushed and it's like, there you go.
He pulls the pin out of his pocket, and he just fixes it there, right there on the spot. He's like, oh wow, Dad, you're so cool. Alright, so now we're starting this area. This area has the worst encounter rate in the entire game. I kid you not. I'm going to save and reset a ton of times in this area because it's got such a ridiculous encounter rate.
I just actually had a thought. What if it was just like, it's a visual scanner thing? So your dad just takes like a black Sharpie and like scribbles in the date. It's like, don't worry, it's fine.
We got this. Alright, so I will be getting encounters in this area, but that's kind of unavoidable. My encounter rate at that point, I think, was something like 50%, and I think it caps there. I don't know if that's how it works, but yeah, it's basically maximum levels, so there's not really much I can do other than get into encounters. Fortunately, there aren't many, and they are escapable, which is really good. But you can see the amount of time I'm saving and resetting is actually necessary, because there's an encounter check pretty much every few steps here. It's bad. It's real bad.
And you can get some pretty bad encounters like the snakes, which are pretty defensive, but also like if you get 3 handies, it's like they have 300 health each. That's 900 damage.
That's more than like any Navi you fight in the entire game. Like the main game, and it's just a set of enemies that you have to take out. With my folder, I have gut shoot. That's about it. Yeah, it's just that's not gonna happen. So, fortunately, that's it for this area. I can get out of here with no more encounters. This long stretch right here. Let me start more number door guessing.
Remember, the number door's not random; they're just different.
Just different.
Jazz gets it.
Alright, so first password. Hopefully I get better luck than I did in the actual school.
Come on, 43. Oh, wait, what do we start with?
42. But 31 was
43.
that one, so it wasn't super easy. '93. Hopefully I don't get an encounter on the way here. I tend to have problems with this particular door. There we go. Okay. That wasn't awful. Could have been better, but I'm cool with that. Okay, so now we're going to do this ice comp. It's very, very large, but fortunately there's only one encounter, and it's very strategically placed. You'll see what I mean. I like this. It's kind of cool. So I just start off running straight forward, and just go around. I think I messed up. I'm gonna actually reset. I did mess up. I know I messed up.
We're pretty fortunate that it worked out the way that it did, because you
Yeah.
need to slide diagonally across some ice, and you'll see that.
Yeah, I was supposed to get into this corner up here.
Oh, wow. What were your... Yeah, you just cut that corner entirely. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you go that way.
Yeah, Alright, cool. So, you'll see what I mean here once I turn. Take the last save here. And the fight is right there. This is an ice puzzle, and you have to slide on the ice at a very specific angle in order for it to work. So rather than spending like a bunch of time setting up, as soon as you finish that fight, if you just hold right on the control stick or control pad, if you're normal, you slide on the ice and in the proper location. So that's neat. Alright. Traffic area. This is really confusing if you're doing this blindly. Like, it's kind of annoying.
I missed it, but when we pass the skull, I'd like to say welcome to Dr. Wily's Grape Soda Factory. Honestly, so this is supposed to be sort of like a boss rush, but it's the bossless boss rush, which
Yeah.
is mildly underwhelming. But I will commend them in that the puzzles that they did, taking pieces from the previous areas, are often better than the actual dungeons themselves.
I think that if they did put that boss rushes in there, it would be very crazy, because we'd be using so many audio cues and stuff, like, to get certain fights to work out with bosses, if they actually put a boss rush. So I don't know.
You'd
If,
probably buffer move into it.
Yeah.
It would just be more gut shoot spam.
basically.
So it worked out good for us that they didn't, but it is sort of underwhelming.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you enter this room, which is where Dr. Wily's been operating out of the whole time, and you go to the picture in the back, which looks really weird. Is he wearing a clown shirt? Like, does that have a face? Is it the right perspective? Prof made some comment about that. Anyway, it's a secret passage that's electronically locked, so Mega Man's going to go in and undo that, and you get pretty good distance. I think there's only, 2 random encounters we get, and then we go fight the final boss, Magic Man. So, Magic Man can be pretty tough. He can summon any 2 viruses. It's a limited pool, so not any 2 viruses, but the combinations that he can get are pretty nasty. And then he's constantly shooting fire down the middle, which, depending on what else you have to dodge, can be pretty difficult. Fortunately, with RNG manipulation, well, or Magic Man.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Of all the things they gave him, they forgot to include iframes.
That's like a 3-second fight, which is pretty insane. So. Alright. So what you didn't see there is that I am now hub style, technically. And it's only active for this last stretch, which is really lame. But my Buster, if I get into any encounters that I can't escape from, you'll see it's quite OP.
Yeah, we basically ran a batch file on Mega Man, which made him a superhero, and all of his stats got raised to 6, so he's pretty broken. Magic Man's pointy beard, yeah. I think a lot of people didn't realize that it was his beard, like they thought it was a robotic chin or something.
I thought it was his nose.
Yeah, something like that.
Alright, get ready for time.
Alright, I guess that'll be cheese. We'll see if it's still
Time.
around.
I YOLO'd it. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get nervous every single time.
You get nervous every time. I YOLO'd it. Finally, for once in a marathon, I YOLO'd it and got it. So I skipped the life virus there. That is a task trick that Bag of Magic Food found, the tasser. And I have to tell you, for RTA, it is one of the toughest tricks to do consistently. Because it is based on a ton of things, but it's also just so cool. Like, if you miss that trick, though, you can't. You literally cannot PB. If you have, like, a good enough run. I cannot PB if I miss that trick, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the way I explain this run to people is it's an hour and a half of easy mode followed by a 1-frame.
I can show the life virus fight since I did finish like 128 or something.
Did you explain the polar bear skip before? I assume you did.
Yeah, it's similar to that.
So yeah, the life virus skip works on the same method that you can skip the polar bears on. The difference being you can't save before, you can't save that whole end bit. So if you mess it up and reset, you lose a minute, I think. Trying it again? Question mark.
Yeah, I don't know how long it would take. Honestly, like if you miss it, I would just say fight the life virus because with Hub Batch, you can deal with him pretty handily.
Do you want to explain the trick again, in case anybody missed it?
I can show it. Yeah, I can show what I do since we have a little bit of time.
Yeah, there's a visual cue, and basically Prism is trying to run forward and stop on a particular spot. Pause, enter a menu twice, which will skip the cutscene, which also has the life virus connected to it. So when you skip the cutscene, you also skip the life virus. So the trick is to move, pause on the right spot, and enter a menu twice, and then the game just gets confused. But the fact that Prism did that, like YOLO'd, ran straight into it, paused in the exact right spot, is very difficult. So
119 game time. That's
really good.
Yeah.
It's a good run.
This was a good run.
It still kind of amazes me that the game doesn't actually soft block. It's like, it's totally fine with you skipping it. It's just like, yeah, no, that's good, keep going.
So, it takes me back to Magic Man. You can't save after this point. That's why I didn't, so I have to fight him again. Fortunately, it's much better. Okay, so in the old route that did not have RNG manipulation, if you died to Magic Man, or if you died to the live virus, I'd say, you'd have to go all the way back to Magic Man and fight him non-manipulated, and that sucks. Because he is scary.
It's a pretty common thing for people that were new to running Battle Network 1. Pre-manip would get to Magic Man and then just spend the next 30 minutes fighting Magic Man. It's that bad.
And people were using a very primitive form of RNG manipulation back then, where when they would get bad clouds, they would just, reset. And then they'd get something better. It's kind of nice. Okay, so I'll demonstrate what happens here. If I do it, I'll do it slowly so I can talk, but the way that I do this, actually, okay, I can show off the Buster now.
Buster's so good.
I didn't destroy the R on that guy. I'm gonna destroy that real quick.
The Buster's a large part why the life virus fight in here isn't like it's a neat fight, but it's not very hard because you're stuck with like 100 damage charge shot.
I'll do Buster only
slightly
life
under
virus as well. Okay, so
double hit, nice.
So you can see where the platform starts, the big platform starts from this pathway. And that vertex where you can see the dark, where all the tiles meet, and basically I'll stand right in front of it. This vertex right here. As soon as I cross that, I try to pause on that frame. Because you want to be on this big platform right here, but it's weird. When you pause, there's some sort of a delay sometimes to where you'll move forward and then the game will pause, even though you paused earlier. It's just the way the pausing works in this game. So you actually want to pause like right here. It's actually a little bit further forward. Okay, so like what happened there is really unlucky. if you don't go into the menu, the chip menu, after moving like very subtly like that, when you unpause, you'll actually hit the trigger. But if you do go into the menu and then back out and go back in, you won't get the skip. So like, to get the skip, you really have to almost run into it, if that makes sense. You can't walk into it. You have to actually get a good stride going into it so that you move farther forward into the trigger. Otherwise, this will happen. So I'll fight the life virus with just my buster.
Kill him.
He's very annoying. I'll actually charge shots too, because these charge shots do like 94 damage. Of course, he's gonna spawn right in front. These Scuttleists, they're spawning at like the worst possible times.
It's a nice gift, Sparrow.
I'll have to look at that. So once he goes below 500 health, he starts to use a meteor smash attack that you have to move through. It's really not that bad, but it does a lot of damage. He's not a hard boss.
Yeah, which is a little
dang.
disappointing to be honest,
I
but
tried
he's
to
still
tank the
fine.
hit.
The
He
hardest
should be dead.
attack he has is a meteor smash, and it's just really precise to dodge is the main thing. The Scuttless can sort of get in the way of your attacks, and that's sort of about
Yeah,
it.
it's not
But
hard to dodge by itself, but when you have the Scuttle viruses hitting you with things, it is kind of hard to keep up, because he can spawn 2 of those at once, and they have different attacks. Some of them chase in on you, some of them float around. The electric ones are the worst. So. Alright, cool. It's not recycling BN3 viruses if this is the first one. That is a good gift.
I think that's a joke. So
I know,
Spheroid
I'm
is
defending
going.
my game.
Right. Spheroid is going to do a randomized version of Battle Network 6, and we're going to put a link in chat here in a second that is to a straw poll where you can pick what the seed is, and the seed will determine the randomness of the game. So pick whichever one you think is funniest, and then Spheroid will use that.
I guess I could show off some of the extra bosses if we want. It's up to
Yeah,
you.
I think that's fine. If you
Yeah.
want to, go show off Sharkman. I'm pretty
Yeah, I'll
sure
show
he's the best
Sharkman, I'll
one.
show Woodman, and Protoman. Yeah, I'll show off Protoman as well. Well, we already did Protoman, but his chip you can get actually from fighting. And the music, this is what's great, the music goes back to normal. So nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so, the boss fights that you fight here actually are all in the Scilab area. The extra fights. There is extra post-game content in the World 3 areas, but that's kind of out of the way. So actually what's cool is Sharkman and Woodman are like both right next to one another, so it's convenient. So this is Sal.
Yeah.
She's competing with Masa. He sells the sushi, she sells these box lunches. And
Which,
so-
if you watch like
competing.
the credits, you can see that Sal gets all the business, and Massa's just sitting there with his stinky fish.
Yeah.
Freaky fish guy.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk. Okay, so
He's cool,
Woodman,
man.
Eat your calcium.
as you can see, I don't have a very good folder, but you can see
Or
Woodman-
Buster.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're actually, outside of the manipulation, we're running a really weak setup, honestly.
Actually, hold on. Oh man, I'm dumb. I can go back, it's fine. I reset. I was actually going to try something, but
Oh, you hadn't saved beforehand? Are you gonna try and manip it?
yeah.
Okay.
So my folder hasn't really changed that much since... Trying to think. Okay, so what I would need to do is get the Gutsman, not Gutsman edit, but the Colorman, or preferably the slots for Protoman. This would be really dumb if it worked.
For reference, you can actually fight these bosses really early in the game. Like, as soon as you have access to Scilab, you can fight Sal, I believe, right off the bat. I don't remember if you can fight Sharkman immediately either. But you can fight these two really early, and they are pretty tough right when you find them, because your chips are not great, and they have a lot of HP.
You can fight a lot of them pretty early, but it's like, before you fight V2, they're like, oh, hold on, I'm upgrading Sharkman, come back later.
Okay.
So it's sort of gated that way.
Let me see something. Okay. Alright. Escape in, and so that's gonna be Gutsman and dash. This is so stupid. Let's see, that's fire tower.
I don't think you're gonna get it. Like, if I could pull up the chip thing, I could maybe help you out. But I think you should just fight them normally, show them off, and then we'll switch over to Sirwa.
Okay. What was the other escape? F.
This is very similar to how routing was done, except we took advantage of emulation and scripts and automation and data dumping. So instead of manually checking, like, okay, I saved and reset and I did it quickly and I got this draw, you do that like a few times and you look at the draws that you get. And then you wait a little longer and see if the chip slots are any better. Instead, we just have all of that information dumped out. So you're basically just looking at tons and tons of numbers.
I did the wrong escape.
Yeah, and if your folder doesn't have all unique chips, it's difficult.
Almost. I will fight.
So, this is similar to how the routing was done.
Okay, so we've got heat spread. So that'll do some damage.
I guess Sal's PC is pretty tough.
Sharkman is really not a fun boss for anybody that has not fought him before. He sucks. Alright, so there's Woodman. Alrighty, and I think I got an HP memory from her. So this is Sharkman. He is not easy. Particularly later in the game. I'm just gonna take a chance here. You can see how much health he has. It's so cheap.
I prefer to think of it as like, what, 16 Undernet? Or 16 internets? Battle Network 1 internet is so...
Yeah, see, he's so cheap.
Sharkman, you cracked? I don't know if I'd have done that. Quake is tempting though.
Yeah.
Where he's one of the three fins and you can kind of tell by the damage, and whenever you damage him, he'll be vulnerable for a second, but if it's the second or third fin, the first two will still very likely block it, and it's just, this fight's a mess. And this is what, his V1 version too?
Oh, dang. Yeah, this is V1 version.
So it gets significantly worse. He just goes faster, does more damage. Getting an S rank on this guy is, I mean, to quote Prism, it's just Sharkman.
Yeah. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it.
They look exactly the same, Prof. There's no distinction.
It's too soon.
It's the same music, the same background, the same textures. I also just know most of them as their internet areas, because that's the map that I used. Achilles. Blame yourself.
Wow. I hate this guy.
But yeah, I think this is a sufficient demonstration of the pain that is Sharkman. So whenever you're satisfied,
Yeah, I mean, whenever. I was just saying, if we needed time, I could go ahead.
Gotcha. Let me check on Sphere and see if he's ready to go.
Okay.
Cool. Sphereway is balancing his audio, and then we'll be ready to go. So you've got a little more time.
Okay. I'm actually fighting him for real now, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, another thing you could show off is the 10-chip trader and the fact that you can cheese it.
Yeah, I can do that.
You took no chips.
Alright, I need gut shoot. Oh, and I'm not gonna get it. Dang. That's lame.
Even though we've got like multiple guards, 3 guards and 3 dashes in the folder, we only have 1 copy of Gutsman, so sometimes it's hard to get that one.
I forget that he does his Aqua Towers on your panels and not like directly in front of him. That's so annoying.
Yeah, the only
Probably the hardest Navi outside of like World 3 Navis. Oh, that's right, I don't have a ticket. Okay, I'll show the chip trader real quick and then I'm done.
Yeah, I forgot. Skullman also used to be a pretty tough fight since he like put his hands on your side of the field and you had to dodge them, and his fire does a ton of damage. So manipulating made the game a ton easier. Well, sorta. It gave it new challenges and removed old ones.
So this is the 3-chip trader and the 10-chip trader. We'll use the 10-chip trader. It's more fun. I usually sort by quantity. Just kind of go crazy. It doesn't really matter. I'm done with this. Oh, look, Quake 3D. I don't like that, so I can reset it and actually just keep going.
Blend 2, yes, is 1.
Oh no! Oh,
Hey, Sphere one?
I don't want that. So you literally could just sit here and do this. In other games, obviously that was changed, but in the first game, you can pretty much just do this until you get everything you want. The problem with doing this in a run is that it's very, very precise, to the point where it's almost like... It takes longer to go through the game normally, like you would have to, and then go to the chip trader and spend all that time there, when you can just get fights along the way.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time removing unnecessary fights, and pretty much, if we were to add in chips from the chip trader, essentially some of the fights that we do, we would change them from getting a chip to drawing escape. So it's not really a net time gain at that point.
Let's see what the best chip I can get from the 3-chip trader is. Escape L. It's not bad. Cover 80G. Already have that. Typhoon E. Recover 80E. Lame. It's pretty bad. Dash O. I don't even know how difficult it is to get that from a fight. If even possible.
O might be a chip trader only code. Because in Battle Network, there's only so many chips that you can get like from the actual viruses, and most games have like 4 or 5 codes per chip, right? I think it reduces later on in the series, but some of those are going to be chip trader exclusive.
Oh, wow, that was the worst chip I've gotten from the 10-chip trader so far. Cannon E. Imagine if the game saved, though. It just like, and you got that. So this is fortunate that it doesn't. Longsword O. You can get that mystery data. It's in internet area too. No point. Panel out B, please. Or X panel.
So yeah. Oh, the interesting thing, if you're curious how the chip trader actually works, is I believe 75% of the time it will give you a chip that you already have. 25% of the time it will pick a chip from a predetermined list, which you may or may not already have.
Oh, that's not that good. I already have that. I thought that was Leaf Shield for a second. It's actually kind of worth it to sit at the chip trader if you've got if you're doing a full playthrough and trying to get everything, and you have maybe 2 really hard to get chips. It's actually kind of worth it to do this because there's a good chance. There's a couple of times where I need Muramasa and I need Leaf Shield and I need something else, and I ended up getting them with just maybe 10 minutes of this, which isn't that bad.
And at that point, you probably have 90 million guards, so...
Yeah. Yeah, another annoying one is to get Buster Guard. You have to have 30 Met Guard A's to trade to somebody.
I remember that grind.
But you can get it in the chip trader, I think. I think that's actually what it ended up doing. So that's...
I had a manipulation in Internet Area 1 where I'd get 2 fights, get 2 copies, and then jack out and back in and do it again.
But anyways, yeah, that's how this game is. These are the only traders in the game, so there's not many areas. It's a short game. It was the first. I played it first, so I thought that was this kind of exposed me to the series. It's funny how I got to playing this game. I originally wanted to run through all the games and get really good times in all of them, but I picked up BN1 and got super absorbed in setting goals, and things like RNG manipulation and tricks and stuff kept being found, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna put the game down and move on because it's constantly changing. So I actually have been stuck on this game for 3 years after intending to have played through all of them speedrun wise by now. So thanks BN1 for doing that to me. But I mean, I really enjoy it. I think after running through this, it would be hard for me to play through a lot of the other battle networks just because this is so unique and fast-paced.
It is.
And the others feel to me like they would probably be a little bit too different. Now, this isn't my favorite battle network game, but this is certainly my favorite one in speedrun setting, for sure.
Battle Network 1 would not be where it is without you, Prism.
Or you, yeah. I mean, it's a collective effort of a lot of people. But I mean, certainly it's kept me motivated, all the changes that have been made. So, thanks for watching, everybody. I don't know if I'm about to be cut off now, but I'm actually satisfied with this run. It was a good run for a marathon. A few mistakes, but nothing too major. And I got the YOLO skip, so I can't really complain about that.
The highlight of the life virus skip and chat's reaction. It's pretty good.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah, I'm glad I did that. Normally, I don't even get it, even if I try to take my time setting it up. In marathon settings, I just normally don't get it. And I started off feeling kind of nervous because I'd never run this route in front of a bunch of people. And this route is a lot more stressful to me because it's a lot less lenient with its estimate. It's a lot less lenient with its tricks than my old one. And so I was a little nervous, but about halfway, actually about round when I got done with Iceman, I started feeling pretty confident, so... Squeaky chair, sorry. But I started feeling pretty confident about everything and got relaxed. I think Power Plant went really well. No mistakes were made there. So, yeah, second half of the game was really good, I think. And that just came with feeling more comfortable, so I'm satisfied. But yeah, I had fun. The marathon's been